family and internet strangers, Stephanie here with a new What's for Dinner video. This week, what was for dinner was a whole lot of leftovers because I cooked as if I had an entire family for Easter and not just cooking for myself. So lots of leftovers, but I do have some great meals for y'all to check out in this video. Let's get into it.
First up, Sunday night was Easter dinner. I made a ham steak because look at how cheap that was, $4.40. And then my sides were pretty cheap as well. So this was a very cost-effective Easter for myself. So with my ham steak, I made it the same way that I pretty much always make ham steak, only normally I leave it all together. This time I did cut it up into smaller little steak size pieces because I saved half of the ham steak to use the following night to make a Copycat Ruby Tuesdays pasta salad. So I cubed up some of the ham and then the rest of it I made into these little steaks. But this is the way that I've always had ham steak. This is how I grew up having ham steak, which is with pineapple and maraschino cherries. And that's all. Very simple. Normally, my dad would use pineapple slices when he made this, but I didn't have those on hand. I did have a can of crushed pineapple that I needed to use up, so I figured it would work out just as well, and I was correct. It did. This was delicious. So I slathered the top of this with as much crushed pineapple as it could handle, and then I was just in luck with my maraschino cherries. I knew I had some in my refrigerator, so I didn't buy any. I had exactly 3 maraschino cherries left in this jar, so it was perfect to finish up with these 3 little ham steaks. And then I poured a little bit of that cherry juice right over the top there. These went into the oven on my air roast function in my air fryer oven, but you can also bake these. And I did it until the sides were nice and brown and that pineapple was starting to get caramelized on top. And then if you have not seen last week's video, I will link it down below. Definitely go check that one out and see how I made Easter so easy for myself. Because the only thing that I had to make on Easter itself was that ham steak. I made baked beans the night before. I made mac and cheese the night before that. And I also had that broccoli left over. So does this look like leftovers? Because it didn't taste like leftovers. These things all reheated so well, so they prepped well in advance. Highly recommend doing holidays this way if you can, by doing things for multiple days leading up to it instead of having a super busy day on the holiday itself. Next day, I had some more of those leftover baked beans and a hot dog, but I also wanted to try a Copycat Ruby Tuesdays pasta salad. I see Megan over at Megan's Kitchen make this all the time, and every time she does it, I want to try it. And I just really hadn't done so. But while I had rotini pasta and I already had that ham from Easter that I knew I could take some of before I put the pineapple on it and dice it up, and I had peas in the freezer, and I had literally everything I needed for this on hand, I decided, let's finally give it a try. So I did not measure things. I just kind of eyeballed it because when it comes to pasta salad, I would rather start out small and then add more moisture because I don't want it to be too wet. But I decided, just instead of following the exact recipe, to take inspiration from it. Also, with the way Megan does it, she has green bell peppers in it. That's the one thing I didn't have on hand, but I did have rainbow peppers, and the rainbow peppers are my favorite, so customizing. Used those instead and got those out of my refrigerator. I could tell once I mixed my peppers and ham in with my ranch dressing and a little bit of mayonnaise that I did need a little bit more, so I added some more of that ranch dressing. I was using the Ken's buttermilk ranch, which has become one of my favorite versions of ranch. I love the Ken's, so I added a little bit more mayo as well before I added my pasta. So once that was all kind of well combined, and I also had the seasoning salt in there, I added my peas and my pasta. So when I boiled my pasta for the last minute and a half to 2 minutes, I added my bag of frozen peas. Now, this made so much. I should have made a smaller recipe, but I plan on eating this for lunch every day of this week because I thought it would be good with some veggies for lunch. But then every single day this week, I did not want it for lunch. But I had no problem eating it for dinner. So you will see this in multiple dinners as a side dish this week. I don't know what it was about lunches. I just wanted to buy my lunch every single day of this past week, which I had finally gotten out of the habit of doing. I don't think I had bought lunch in the 2 to 3 weeks leading up to this, so I made up for it by buying lunch 3 or 4 days of this week. Something along those lines. I know I brought lunch one day. But as I got everything all mixed together, I tasted it. I decided I wanted a little bit more of that seasoned salt on it, just a little bit more of that flavor, and it ended up being perfect. I did really enjoy this. I just didn't want it for lunches. So thank you, Megan, for the inspiration for this. I will have her channel and her video of her version of making this in the description box down below. If you haven't checked out Megan's channel, what are you waiting for? I reference her videos all the time because Megan is one of my favorite people to watch on YouTube. Had this alongside a hot dog and some leftover baked beans, and it was so good. The next night, I was not eating dinner until really late, and by the time I ate dinner, I just wanted some of these steamed dumplings and a little bit of leftover broccoli. That was the last of my leftover broccoli. So I love these. I get them from Costco, but they do sell them elsewhere. They're the Bibigo chicken and vegetable steamed dumplings. Definitely recommend those. If you haven't had them, check them out. And then the next night, I decided to change it up a little bit. I had had ham for several days in several different iterations, so I decided chicken sounded good. And I had some sweet potato that needed to be used up, so I decided to roast it. I have been loving the air roast function on my air fryer lately. I think I've mentioned it in my past 2 or 3 videos. I've air roasted something in all of them. So I seasoned this with my corruption seasoning from Uncle Lou's. This is the big bottle that my mom got me for Christmas. If you've never seen my Uncle Lou's video, I will leave it down below. It's not sponsored. It's just one of my favorite all-purpose seasonings is the corruption seasoning, and you can buy it online. You don't need to go on a cross-country road trip to get that. But speaking of cross-country road trips, y'all have not been leaving me ideas of where to go for my fall cross-country road trip, so leave me some comments with ideas. On the side of this, I've just got chicken that I had marinated in the Sweet Baby Ray's teriyaki sauce. Just briefly marinated it, and then about halfway through cooking this, so about 10 to 15 minutes in, I pulled this out. I topped it with some more of the Sweet Baby Ray's teriyaki sauce, and then I added some of that crushed pineapple that I had left over from Easter. I had opened the can on Easter and then wanted to find other ways to use up the rest of it because I only used about a quarter of that can on Easter. So I spread out my teriyaki sauce all over this chicken, and then I added some of that crushed pineapple right on top. And I love that flavor combination of pineapple and teriyaki. It creates such a nice combo with chicken. You can also do that with pork, turns out really well, but I got overloaded on pork this week between the ham for Easter, the ham and the Ruby Tuesday salad, the hot dogs that I had eaten in the days leading up to this, and the salt pork and the baked beans. There was so much pork. So I was grateful to have a night of chicken on this particular night. So I added this back into my air roast function, and I just did this on 375 until the chicken was fully cooked to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure you are fully cooking your chicken. chicken makes me nervous. I always have to make sure that it is all the way done with my meat thermometer. And I had those roasted sweet potatoes, came out delicious with that chicken, and more of that Copycat Ruby Tuesday salad on the side of that. So I still had a little bit of leftovers in there. And then the next night, more of the salad, more of the baked beans. Those seriously every day in some form I had them. But to go along with it, I am so easily influenced. Someone asked me for directions and I pointed them in the direction of a certain shopping plaza, and that was enough for me to go, I really want Jersey Mike's from that shopping plaza. So I decided to fulfill that craving, and instead of getting potato chips, I just brought the sub home and had my own sides with it. And because I had my own sides, I was able to only eat half of my sub and save the rest for the following day's lunch so that I would not buy lunch again that following day. So for my Jersey Mike's order, I get the original Italian. I get it Mike's way, but with no tomato. So I just get the lettuce, onion, and the spices and juices. And it's my favorite sub at Jersey Mike's. It's pretty much the only sub I will ever get at Jersey Mike's. And finally, we've come to the end of the leftovers. This night I had had a big lunch, so I just had the peas, ham, and essentially everything other than the pasta that was left in my Ruby Tuesday salad. I picked out and had that so that I could get some more veggies in, and then the last of the baked beans. So this was very random dinner, but it was using up the last of those leftovers. And rounding out this week with a very simple buffalo chicken salad. I have been loving these Just Bare boneless, skinless, lightly breaded chicken breast chunks from Costco. I throw them in the air fryer. In this particular day, I also used up some Buffalo Wild Wings medium wing sauce. I had that in my pantry and I've had it for a long time, so I really needed to use that up. But I just throw those in the air fryer and those chicken chunks are so good. Now, watch as I try and fail at getting a smaller amount of ranch dressing on my salad. The Ken's bottles, I love the Ken's salad dressing, but it comes out so fast. They really need to get one of the toppers where you can control a little easier how much salad dressing comes out, because it just comes out in these big chunks like that, and I didn't need that much. So that's why I was originally trying to get it out with just a knife, but that didn't happen well. I decided I wanted my lettuce to be a little bit smaller, so I started cutting it up a little bit. I do like my salads chopped. Also, if you've seen me make salads on my channel before, you know that I normally shake them in a Tupperware container to get all the dressing mixed in. But I had a sink full of dishes already, and I did not want to dirty another one just to shake my salad the way I liked it. So instead, I chopped it up with the salad dressing in it with just a knife and fork. This was a very simple salad. I just had some onions on hand and this garden salad mix, and that was really all that went into it, and a few pieces of chopped up red bell pepper that I had left over. And then once I had this all chopped up, I added my chicken to it. So I pulled my chicken out of the air fryer and then immediately coated it in that Buffalo Wild Wings sauce. And then this one, I did use up the extra dish to shake up. And I used a ceramic dish because I didn't want to put those hot pieces of fried chicken directly into a plastic bowl. So I did that, and then everything was so delicious on top of this salad mix. Now, I know some people may not like hot chicken on top of a crispy cold salad, but I love that combination because it really doesn't wilt the lettuce too much, especially if you eat it right away.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope you give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, because you definitely don't want to miss next week's What's for Dinner. The meal that I had tonight is in the night that I'm filming this little outro here. The meal I had was so good. I can't wait to show it to y'all. So definitely keep watching for next week's video. Thanks for watching this one.